Hey everyone, this is Arado and we're here to talk about the upcoming Christmas banner featuring Final Empress, Bokuohn, and Noel. I would like to give a couple quick shout out before we start the banner rundown. So first off, with our artist for today, we have Denny Draws for the awesome creator artwork. Her Twitter handle is, of course, Denny Draws. When you have the chance, please visit her page. She does a lot of awesome artwork, not just for Saga, but she also does some Octopath and Live Alive artwork. And then I would like also to give a shout out to Hans from Reddit. So Hans always delivers in summarizing the status of the banner characters. If we have a lot of changes in global, and he summarizes it in a way that um, it can be easily understandable that you would see the full picture along with the changes it has from JP. And of course, it's the same goes for Jans in Discord. So Jans and Hans are two different people. Just to put it on record that both of them do an awesome job both on Reddit and Discord with the summary of information. And with that, we'll start the banner rundown with Final Empress. So for Final Empress, we have a lot to cover. I actually put in a note because there's so much to consider and I can't just do it on the fly. So first off, Final Empress is really, really reliable for farming because she can do AoE, column, row, and single target farming. And of course, a lot of those has something to do with inherits that's available to her. So let's go over with the AoE farming. So for AoE farming, as you know, she has skill number 3, which is a fast skill. It's slash and sun. So whenever she hits the enemy weak point, she has a total of 50% attack passive that she benefits from. Because she has tension 6, which is 30%, and then she has an attack boost whenever she hits the enemy weak point for 20% more damage. So total of 50%. And then, so for AoE, it would be good for her to inherit Bright Wind Blade, from the New Year style. So you can do skill number 3, as what you just saw right now, and then she defaults to skill number 1, and then she would go with Bright Wind Blade after. Or you can have her do column farming with, our usual waterfowl gaming, because of her skill number 2 and 3 being that you can configure it to be more than 12 BP, that she's able to do waterfowl blade as well if you need column farmer. And then for row farming, she can do her skill number 2 in a 10-0-10, or if you want 10-2-10 rotation. So she can do round 1 and round 3 for a strong row attack. Or for a single target, she can do quadruple moonstrike for an 11-11-11, or hazy moon with 10-0-10 or 10-2-10, however you would like to see it. Of course, for a single target, she would heavily rely on either New Year style for hazy twin moon, or the global exclusive one for quadruple moonstrike. Personally, I wouldn't be using the quadruple moonstrike because it's too long of an animation. So that's why if I would use her for single target farming, I would pick Hazy Twin Moon. And then just to set the record as well, that even though she gains BP plus 2 whenever her attack hits, there's always that clause on a skill, especially if it's a multi-hit, that only the first hit of that skill would trigger the ability. So if you do quadruple moonstrike or hazy twin moon, that only the first hit would give Final Empress BP plus 2. And then, of course, she is pretty good in terms of hard content because you can have her do um, defense boost medium every 3 turns. So there would be an overlap on that fourth turn because with the global change, that her defense boost is last for 4 turn. And as you know, defense boost would stack with guard up. The shrine dance from Golden Bomb. So that's a old method of having some kind of defense mitigation, and that's the only one where the highest effect would be the only one taking effect. If you have multiple defense boosts, all of them would stack with one another, and defense boosts would stack with the effect from guard up as well. If your character has guard up as a passive, or there's a different source of guard up buff. And then, of course, with this Christmas style, it would be good to have, especially with the recent final Empress in JP. The recent final Empress in JP, in a nutshell, gives heat up to everyone as a passive for 5 times. So the first 5 turns of a battle, she would give heat up small effect to everyone. So that's a total of, I believe, 25% attack passive to everyone. And then she is a source for AoE moral down small effect for 2 turns. So the good thing about that is she can do that AoE moral down and then inherit skill number 1 from this Christmas style, so that she can just give moral down, and then she would heal everyone. Just like how she is designed to do, like a really good support. And then she also has a passive of defense mitigate to everyone with medium effect. So that's the future style, and it would be good to have skill number 1 as inherit from Christmas style, to complete what she can bring to the party as a support. I told you there's so much to cover with Final Empress. That's why I had to write all of them in my notebook, so that it's easier for me to run through and I don't fumble with what I wanted to cover. All right, now we move on to Bokuohn. So Bokuohn is a super reliable Dex debuffer, especially with the change he had in Global, where every attack he hits, it would guarantee a Dex debuff, a small effect. So the difference between the passive Dex debuff versus an skill Dex debuff is, so I believe you have to train the you have to train the skill for you to have the maximum effect. So for small, I believe it's 10 minimum, and then at rank 99, it's gonna be 15% dex debuff. And of course, with two dex debuff happening, especially if you do the skill number 3 or skill number 1, that um, it would stack with one another as an additive effect. So, for example, if you do Mirage hit Bokuohn skill number 1, then he would be able to do maximum of 30% dex debuff to that enemy. So, I don't know if that would be a trigger for debuff cleanse, but as you know, debuff cleanse is happening very, very often now with hard content bosses. The good thing with Bokuohn is the guaranteed dex debuff, that he doesn't have to roll with that willpower that most global content would have. As you know, it's really hard to inflict debuff to global exclusive event. That having those guarantees like what Bokuohn can deliver would be pretty helpful. And then there's also some inherit from his other style, where Crushing Blow would debuff strength as well. So with the guaranteed dex debuff and rolling for the strength debuff, he can do strength and dex debuff. So I credit my friend to that one, because when I showed him my chicken scratches for my notes for this video, he added that point about Crushing Blow plus. And then lastly, for Bokuohn, he is a reliable source for poison and paralyze. So paralyze, as you know, would be greatly helpful in Remembrance Battle with Real Queen, and then poison would be helpful in Remembrance Battle in the future with the Great Thief, or I don't know the actual name because it's in kanji. But basically, the system to that is you have to apply poison to the boss, because there's the boss and then there's two ads all the time. So whenever you hit the boss would buff itself himself with heat up small effect. So it's best not to hit the boss as much as possible. So that's why poison is the way to go. They have zero resistance with poison. And when I looked at the list of hammer characters in JP, only Bokuohn has access to poison right now. And I don't know by the time when we have that remembrance battle on whether Global would give us more characters for hammer, whether it be, multiple weapon characters like Fuse or Gen, or a new global exclusive character that would be for hammer that can do poison. We don't know. Only when it arrives that we would know that, yay, we have another source for poison for hammer. But yeah, that's Bokuohn. And I believe that Final Empress and Bokuohn would be at the top of the list if you want to pull for this banner. And then lastly, we have Noel. So Noel is a reliable row farmer because of his skill number 3, and then he defaults to skill number 1. Or you can use him for 2-rounder single target farming with his skill number 2. Unfortunately, he doesn't have much skills to inherit as far as farming goes. I mean, you can do Lunar Blade Plus, but he can't use that on turn 1 because he only has 10 BP at the start of battle. So, other than that, he relies on RNG on a 25% chance because it's medium, where he can gain BP plus 4. So that's why I usually don't put anything that relies on RNG as a guarantee on my notes. But if RNG aligns with you, that would be a really good thing. And then the good thing with Noel is he can inherit Zanshin from his former style, the stage style. So because he has high protect tension, he also has a 25% chance to recover HP of small effect. That having Zanshin would be pretty good for his kit. And if you need a single target counter character. But other than that, the farming that Noel can do is easily replicable with the units that you see to the lower right, and that's the reason why I had them there. Because like say for Loot, on his A style, Loot can learn Shimmering Slash, and then in the future, once we have the free Raphael from the White Day the White Day event going to summer, Raphael would start the Shimmering Slash plus amplification, so it becomes an SSS for 12 BP from what I remember. So Loot would be able to do that as well, like having a strong turn 1 row row attack SSS, I believe, for Shimmering Slash. And then for Final Emperor, if you have his really early day White Day style, the one with Brilliant Flash. So in the future, Brilliant Flash would be amplified as well, where it becomes a 10 BP for SSS damage as well. Unfortunately, only Final Emperor right now has that Brilliant Flash. So you can do a 10-0-10 with the Music Fest style, because this Music Fest style starts with 15 BP. So with Brilliant Flash on turn 1 and then don't attack on turn 2, then he would gain enough BP for turn 3 to use a Brilliant Flash again. For Gen, he would have a Triple Sword. So Triple Sword would become a fast and then an A damage. So he would be able to use that for actually 4 rounds in a battle. But Story Quest is just 3 rounds. But this is just a couple example where they are able to replicate what Noel can do in terms of row farming. And then for single target farming, of course, there's some other characters as well that's pretty viable, that it's not unique to Noel. So that's why, unfortunately, Noel is kind of on the weaker side of this banner. But having him in your box would greatly improve your row farming. And having double element as well, Shadow and Slash, that he would be able to cover some ground. And of course, knowing that there's a new Sarowin that just released in JP, Shadow characters are enjoying that extra BP plus 1 whenever they do a Shadow attack because of Sarowin's passive. So that's something to consider as well. And then lastly, for Noel, he has a Saga Prefecture style. And unfortunately, it's also on the weaker side, where it's mostly single target skills. And you can also learn Zanshin from that if you don't have the stage style. The Saga Prefecture style is more of an odd and even turn kind of thing, where he would have an attack boost if it's an odd turn, defense stands down if it's an even turn, and then there's some skills where he would buff himself first and then do the attack. So those are some good stuff that you would like to have in the future. So yeah, my apologies. I know this is a lot for the banner rundown because I wanted to cover, especially for Final Empress, where even though she doesn't have high protect tension, her main role is really in the farming, as mentioned, where um, she really shines well in being an overall very flexible farmer. She can do AoE, column, row, or single target farming. And then having skill number one from this style is really good for the next Final Empress style. So, and then of course, defense boost is always welcome, especially for hard content. So, with this, if you plan to use this Final Empress for hard content, then you would have some source of defense boost, or you can have the global exclusive style inherit that defense boost skill. So that's why it would enhance Final Empress overall as a character with this style, not only for current style but in the future. Bokuohn, like I said, is the only the only character right now for Hammer that can do poison if you're preparing for Remembrance battle in the future for the Great Thief. Other than that, he would be a really, really reliable Dex debuffer for if you need Dex debuffing whenever you're doing some hard content or you still haven't finished Wasteland Wars like me, you know. And then he also has a extra large chance to dodge an attack, which I believe would be 45 if not 50% if all allies are alive. So that's a good thing to have for Bokuohn. And then Noel, while he is really good, very updated status, and then should provide overall good damage, that what he can do is very replicable with other styles as mentioned, like my example earlier with Loot, Final Emperor, and Gen. So yeah, personally for me, I'm still a little torn because initially I was really prepared to skip the banner because I'm trying to play very very conservatively now with the upcoming Mystics banner in the new year. That I wanted to skip this, but in looking through what they can do, I actually wanted to invest maybe a couple single pools, maybe 10 or 20 single pools, and that would be my max for this because I'm not sure whether there's going to be another global exclusive because um, if you don't know, there is the Saga anniversary, you know, the original Game Boy Saga, and then there's also the Unlimited Saga anniversary, and then there's also the Saga Scarlet Grace anniversary as well. Scarlet Grace, I think, is 7 years. Unlimited Saga, I forgot how long it was already, and then for the original Saga, I believe it's 35 years, if not 33 years. I always mix up the number. But yeah, we got some rewards on that in JP. I'm not sure whether it's going to be celebrated in Global as well, whether it be a Global exclusive banner or we get some kind of reward to celebrate that thing. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this banner. Again, my apologies that it's a lengthy one. Hopefully, it helps you understand the characters better. And of course, special shout out again to Denny Draws for the art, and then Hans in Reddit and Jans on Discord for the information that was used for this video, and of course in my past video as well. All right, this that's it for this banner rundown, and this is Arado signing off. See you in the next video or stream.